So within this class, we are going to be teaching e-commerce under a beauty salon environment. So let's get started. So within the introductory, I just want to go over the content that we are going to go through, which are just the introduction, the e-commerce legislation, the key players, estimated existing e-commerce platform that you can be able to use for your salon, the main outline, products, logistics, e-payments, and trends. We're going to go through these sectors in two different slides. So the first set of slides, we're just going to be starting with a little bit of introduction. So usually e-commerce is used for anything that is within the online sector. When we're looking at transferring all our products to the online sector, we always have to understand the different types of legislations and the laws that there are. So I'll just list the first 11 for you. The first one is electronic transaction law. With electronic transaction law, it is everything that is based within the electronic arena. The second one is signature law. Signature law is signing off on all the documentation that is relevant with your online sector. Number 3, electronic financial transaction. Electronic financial transaction law, which covers financial transaction that occurs within the e-commerce sector or anything that happens online. The fourth one is electronic commerce law. The fifth one, criminal code. Sixth one, content law. 7, computer-related crime. 8, electronic data interchange. 9, electronic funds transfer. 10, telecommunication law. 11, intellectual property law. So all these actually varies within countries to countries, which actually covers. Some countries has tighter restrictions within the e-commerce legislation. Some countries has less restrictions within the e-commerce sector. So it really depends on which country you're at as well. So you always have to be sure and ensure that that you understand all the laws that you have to abide by within your country or within your city. To go through electronic commerce laws. So each law has a full extent or a full range that covers differently within each country. So always ensure that you understand all these different aspects prior to actually starting your e-commerce store. Basically, you can review this with your regulatory council and regulations as well. When we're talking about e-commerce, if we're going to break it down under different countries, as mentioned within the law and registration, I'll just make an overview and an example of 4 different sectors, which is Australia, America, Asia, and other such as China. We'll go through the channels that you can be able to go into the e-commerce sector with. So when we're talking about e-commerce sector, it's always good this is especially relevant to someone who already has their own products. So always ensure if someone already has their own products and wants to launch it online, the next thing that they will actually have to do after understanding the rules and regulations is which channel they are going to put their product in. There's 2 different main categories. So the first main category would be for anything that you're going to sell within a website that you've already created, or another option is actually creating it from a website that is a platform for you to actually register your products. So we'll go through these channels individually. So for example, with Australia, if you're going to just target Australia, obviously we have to go through the data and our target market. With the digital data that we have here, population 24.93 million, mobile subscriptions 32.47 million, internet users 21.74 million, social media users 18 million, mobile social users is 16 million. So always ensure sure that you understand the data in order for you to step forward so that you can actually target your audience and more so very accurately, and you're understanding how big of a platform that you actually have to work with. After understanding your populations, also it's really important to understand their behaviors online, how they actually use their online strategies, and how they actually use their online device, whether that would be using a desktop, mobile, what time they're using, what channels, what avenue they're using it for, because this would actually relate back to your marketing strategies as well. So just going back to the channels that we have within Australia that you can actually register your product that is not your own website. So the first one is your eBay Australia. Second one is Amazon. So these two are actually one of the two most popular. At the moment, I think in Australia, eBay is actually more efficient with registering, and the processes is more easy and more simple. The next few other ones, even though that they already have their own products, you can actually pitch your product to these avenues as well, and be able to work alongside with them at an agreeable amount. So the next one is either Woolworths, Coles, JB Hi-Fi, Kogan, Big W, Officeworks, Warehouse, Harvey Norman. They all actually have their own e-commerce platform. But what can be able to do is to work with these brands and actually have your own brand within their stores, not only within the e-commerce sector, but possibly in a retail sector as well. So it's something that you can be able to have a look at as an addition to the eBay and Amazon as an e-commerce avenue as well. Other e-commerce avenue that is highly thought after can be selling stuff on Facebook, can be selling stuff on other kind of sources. So what you can do is actually go online and then understand where your target audience is. So when you're understanding where your target audience is, then you can be able to match your product with your target audience, okay? So either you can sell on Facebook, on Amazon, on Ecwit, on BigCommerce, you can sell it through Shopify, you can sell it through your own site. So these are some of the examples that you can be able to use within Australia. The next one we're going to go through is America. So as you can see, the American numbers of people is much more than Australia. So as an overview, I just wanted to go through with America, we are looking at Amazon, eBay, Walmart, Etsy, Home Depot, Target, Best Buy, Lowe's, Wish, and Macy. So as mentioned, number 3 to number 10, they all have their own brand, and you can be able to have your products within their e-commerce store and over their retailer sector, as well as Amazon and eBay. Sometimes I actually do feel Amazon within America actually provides a better logistical approach through their systems within America, because they do have their own warehouse for you to actually send your products through and start your Amazon store. So that's another thing that you can be able to think about. Then we come to Asia. Asia is a whole new playing field. When we're talking about Asia e-commerce sector, the e-commerce sector that you can be able to actually play with, or to actually launch your products for under different sectors. But if you're going to be target a different country, there is also significant changes that you actually have to make in terms of international marketing, because that falls totally under a different category. With international marketing, you have to look at how you're actually positioning your product in that particular country as well, because not necessarily the campaigns and marketing strategies within one country will actually work within another country. So always ensure that your strategy is in line with the country and the destination that you have chosen. When you're talking about Asia, the e-commerce sector that you can sell your products on is Lazada, Shopee, 11th Street, JIB, Tarat, HomePro, Seat, Advice Central, Hong Kong Gadgets. So with all these sectors, always ensure that you understand what your product actually relate to, what brand value your products actually relate to, so you can be able to translate these within your e-commerce store. So the first row, as you can see here, there are more so a company that doesn't have their own products, so you can list your own products within all these sectors. Then the next one is HomePro, Seat, Advice Central. They do have products from outside and also retail stores as well. So it's something that you can be able to have a look at within this sector. Then we go on to, as you can see here, this is more a clearer outline of the Asian categories. With the Asian categories, always make sure that that you have someone on your team that actually understands the language, understands the culture, understands that what they actually how they actually are using the internet and e-commerce sector within that country, because it will play a really significant part within your company and within your business to actually make that product succeed. The next one that we are going to go through is understanding the product category. When we're talking about understanding the product category, you can be able, if you don't have your products already set up for the e-commerce store, first what you can do is actually think about what kind of products you want to launch, whether it's clothing, natural products, technology products, beauty products, wellness products. So you can be able to define yourself within one category and stick to that category. But if you're wanting to play with different categories under a brand, then what is your brand value? You have to go right back and understand that to be able to have clarity within the products and link it as a narrative and a story throughout the whole process. Next, we are going to be talking about categorizing your products on an e-commerce store. So this is an example of one of our e-commerce store that we sell on our website. So our product categories are online courses, then we have online products, then we have services. So we've categorized our products within 3 different sectors. When we're talking about 3 different sectors, that is the academic sector, the product sector, and the service sector under the beauty realm. So this is just an example and an overview of what and how you can actually start to list your products. So all these products are grouped. So within these product sectors, for example, online classic courses, there are sub-courses within that as well. Or for example, within our adhesives, as you can see here, there are 6 different types of adhesive or liquids formations that you can be able to purchase as well. So when we're going to the next one, for example, brand image and brand value is really important. So this is one of our social media accounts where we are have our products listed on there, has our services listed on there, and has our academy listed on there, and also an image and a style of our branding and our values to be able to attract our potential clients and potential targets, in order to be able to have it something that is actually relatable to our audience and market sector. So once we've understood our market sector, we can be able to create a page that relates to their preferences and their likes and their behavior as well. Next, it's really important for you to have a payments page. So with the payments page is highly significant what payment avenues that you're going to be having within an e-commerce store. So within an e-commerce, always really important to have entire channels or avenues to let clients feel comfortable to actually pay online. Sometimes, even though in this day and age there has been evolvements throughout the e-commerce strategies, and people actually are more confident within the e-commerce arena to actually purchase and use their cards online. But always make sure that it's something that it will make them feel comfortable to actually purchase, and also have a value that they would actually press that button and say pay us. So when we're talking about payments, we can actually subcategorize into four different sectors: credit card, cash on delivery, mobile banking, and e-wallet. So this sector is actually relatable to within the Asian market. Okay, so when we're talking about credit card, you can be able to use a second-party payment system, whether that would be PayPal, whether that would be Stripe. So you can set up all these aspects within your payments category. When we're talking about cash on delivery within the Asian markets, there are companies such as Kerry, which actually delivers products and collects the seller's cash on arrival and actually banks it for as a delivery system. So that is something new and something that we haven't seen within Australia or America just yet. And this system actually really provides trust within the Asian market, because it's seen at multiple times that sometimes when clients pay prior to actually getting their products, they actually didn't get their products within an Asian market. And this company actually provides trust for the markets in order to have cash on delivery. Then next one is mobile banking. So mobile banking, obviously directly through your banking channels or your banking system, you can pay online, whether that will be Polypay, whether that will be directly from your bank. So always make sure that you've set this up so it's actually secure for you, so both you and both your bank, and have all these come back to you and within the right avenue, and all the cash flow will be visible within your e-commerce store, so you can actually track your payments as well. E-wallet is something that is also in consideration within the Asian markets. E-commerce can be things such as Alipay, as such. So we can be able to collect payments within four of these different types of categories. When we're talking about payments, you can be able to understand there's PayPal, as I mentioned, Amazon Payments, Wally, Stripe, Google Checkout and Google Wallet, Movo Cash, Braintree, WePay, To Checkout, Authorized Net. So always choose something that is known to that particular country or is relevant to that particular country. So for example, if I'm going to sell a product within Asia, I would actually not choose PayPal, because they are actually not a majority of the people within the country understand how to use PayPal, but I would tend to use something like Carry, as I mentioned, cash on delivery. Then the next one, for example, if I was going to be selling in America, I could be able to use PayPal, Amazon, or even Stripe. Or in Australia, Stripe or PayPal would be one of the two most known payment methods and payments avenue. So that is for the payments avenue within that sector. Next, we are actually going to payments within China. More so for China. When we're talking China, the high players within the industry of payments avenue is WeChat, Alipay, PayPal, and credit card payments, but directly through WeChat. They more so often are not carrying cash anymore within their countries, and everything is all electronic and all linked to usually just one system. So always understand, as I mentioned, understand how your consumers actually pays, and understand that consumer behavior within that country in relation to the payments that they make within that category. So always ensure that you understand these sectors. Another sector that you can be able to, if you have your own website, is with payment. You always have to check with each of these payments how much commission per transaction that they are going to be taking from your from your payments. So always make sure that you understand per transaction cost, and also understand the release processes. So some companies actually don't release your cash straight away, and you would have to wait, say, 3 to 5 days for your payments. Or, for example, if it's in PayPal, you would actually have to go and press release from your PayPal account if you haven't already set it up automatically in an instant format. So within PayPal, for example, if the client pays through PayPal, it actually stays within their account until you actually go into PayPal and be able to actually release the money there's two different types of methods to release the money within an instant format or a standard format. Within an instant format, obviously you're going to be paying higher rates. Within a standard format, you're actually not paying any rates, but your any rates to transfer. That's not any rates to actually receive your payment. So that's two different things. So rates to transfer for standard transfer, it's around 5 to 7 days, but usually it happens much faster, approximately 2 to 5 days. So it just varies between which kind of releases that you're wanting to go through PayPal. But as I mentioned, all of these avenues actually takes a transaction fee per one transaction. So always make sure that you understand it. So for example, if you're going to use Squarespace to collect payments like face-to-face, always make sure that you understand their transaction as well. So obviously that is another way for payments to occur. When we're talking about shipping and taxing on our e-commerce platform, we always make sure that when we're talking about different countries, each shipping and tracking is actually identified prior to actually launching your site, because otherwise we're actually making a significant change per transaction, or causing a non-free flow throughout the whole process of this occurrence. So always make sure that the shipping details, product details, pricing strategies are actually all visible within your website, within your e-commerce sector. Then you can be able to allow the client to actually navigate through your site in a very efficient way, because otherwise, if it's in a non-efficient way, you would actually feel as though you would not be able to complete the transaction as a consumer. For example, if I put myself in a consumer position, I would actually everything to be very efficient and free flow throughout my whole process within that store. So for example, there would be in future so many stores to actually select from, and you only have a glimpse and a few seconds to actually capture their interest, because there is so much out there. How would you make them stay on your e-commerce store and actually click purchase? That is something that we'll talk about within another class as well. So when we're talking about this kind of e-commerce strategy, we also must understand shipping and your shipping criteria as well. And then once the client has actually made the purchase, this is something that is actually visible within your data. So you've got your name, you've got your telephone number, you've got your email, and you've also got the total price. Then you've got the invoices, and then you can process that within your e-commerce store. We'll go through how you can be able to process your logistics in another part, but this is just as an overview of the first sector, or e-commerce. When we're looking at e-commerce, we actually also have to look at how your product sits in the industry, whether that product is in a blue ocean or red ocean. This is really important because, for example, when we're looking at different types of oceans, sometimes you'll be wondering, oh, why is she talking about oceans? But it's an understanding of how your product situates within within a country or within an economy. So when we're talking about products within a blue ocean, it's products that is actually kind of new, inventive, and is one of the forefront of that particular category. If it's a red ocean, that product has been made a billion times. There's so much of that product out there, and the ocean is red. Everyone is cutthroat and trying to actually be able to get the brand out there, be able to get a piece within that particular larger industry or that particular red ocean. So these are kind of the things that you can be able to actually think about. For example, we're within our lash industry or lash trends. Our products initially was in a blue ocean. Now it's more so within a red ocean, but there are key players within the countries and within different subsectors. So always sure that that is considered. When we're talking about lash trends, there are things that you can be able to think about. Is there a new product development that we can be able to have within this category? Is your lash product an existing product? Is your lash product a branded product? How have you positioned your brand? Is it more so a premium product? Is the quality better, or has it been processed in a way that is more intriguing to the actual client? So when we're talking about lash products, another thing that we can be able to actually look at is how have you used the creative process within your lash product and lash industry as well. So even if it's an old product, how has the product been adaptive and innovative to create something more creative in a field that has already been established? For example, that could be, if we're talking about the lashes, is there a compound within the lashes that will make your lashes actually more suitable for consumer-based categories, or is it more suitable for professional use? Is there a lash product that is more innovative, that mimics eyelash extensions that is professionally done, or is there a lash product that is possibly absorbs more adhesive, or is there a product of the lashes that reduces bacterial air, anything like that as well? So always make sure that your product is actually innovative and your product is understood through the industries as well. So it also provides a point of difference within the industry. When we're talking about trends, also in a beauty sector, not necessarily within a lash sector, is your business within a vitamin or supplement sector? Obviously, this is a large playing field. If you're going to be playing within the vitamins or supplement sector, how is your product going to be different? How is it going to be differentiated? Is it an ingredient that you use? It is a personal branding approach, or is the product actually highly significant with a new kind of inventive formula in order to create the best value and the best benefit for the client? So always ensure that you understand all these aspects. Or if you're going to be creating a beauty business within the natural extract arena, so the natural and its well-being and health well-being is really highly significant within the beauty industry. So always ensure that when we're talking about beauty and natural extract, how are you going to market your natural extract? Is it purely natural? Okay, so you always have to understand and relate it. When you've got the product, you always have to understand your target. You always have to understand your behavior. You always have to understand the choices that they make prior to actually accommodating for that. Otherwise, you will get it wrong. And you don't want to go through that process, because you actually have to understand and analyze each particular aspect prior to making a decision. When we're talking about the third aspect, does that business or that product actually support the target market? This is actually really important. So for example, if you've got one category within the beauty arena or within the beauty product, always make sure that and understand how will your product or how will your business actually support your target market. Okay, it's always about giving back and benefiting your target market, because you don't want to have a product that doesn't provide benefits. It might sell just once off, and it might not resell again. So that's not a product that you would actually well, actually it depends on what kind of strategies you've actually implemented. So for example, a one-off product could be actually a seasonal product or something like that. A once-off product could be something a little bit funny that you buy as a laugh or as a present or as a birthday present. That's something that you can be able to actually have a look at as well. The next one is ready-made products. Obviously, everything in this day and age, everyone wants something fast, efficient. But when talking about ready-made products, is there something that actually creates an experience? That is actually something that I just thought of. It's actually really interesting, which contradicts my number 4, but there is a possibility in that sector. Next, we are going to go through, when we're talking about the e-commerce sector, how you've actually categorized all your different products. As I mentioned within this example of one of our e-commerce sector, we are talking about this commerce sector as in course, products, and services. So that falls under 3 different subcategories. Then we also have to understand the web design. Web design is imperative into actually capturing the moments and the duration of your consumer, and understanding how your web design will translate to your target market will be a key benefit in order to let them stay within your website. So the design is obviously very, very important. Also understanding where the eye flows within your website is also very important. This kind of concept of hierarchy of imagery, hierarchy of text, hierarchy of sizing as well. These aspects is also very much important within web designing, and understanding your branding aspect as well. So when we're talking about design, it actually flows through all set of serious different aspects. You can actually do the design yourself, but if you wanted to get it professionally made, which I actually highly advise, you can be able to get a team of professionals up within your company to actually get this on board. The next one is strategical influences. When we're talking about website design, we're talking about strategical influences that you can relate to your website as well. So when we're talking about strategic influences, as I talked about your e-commerce sector within different countries, there are strategic influences that can be able to be implemented, services, things such as Amazon. If you're going to register your products within Amazon, that is another strategic influence, because Amazon, maybe the capital power is targeted through more so an American country, and you've structured it in and around an American playing field. So always understand that is there strategical influences as to which website that you're going to actually be using. Perception of the eyes, as I mentioned, it's really important to actually capture the target audience's perception of websites and things like that as well. So always understand that it is highly significant. Next, we're going to talk about visual hierarchy. Is the image relatable to your brand? Is it translating a story? Is it translating something that is highly significant for your customers as well? So that is 4 main aspects that we're going to be talking about today. Then we go on to, as I mentioned, eye direction on the website, color, tone, image, topography, contrast, size, and it's always important is keep it simple. Okay, keep it simple, stupid. This is something that is really highly significant, because you don't want to go onto a website there where you have a cluster of things and there is just too many items, too many distractions. After a while, the client would actually just go out of the website and not make a purchase. So always make sure that it actually is a simple web design. This is one of our examples of one of the websites that we actually own. So with this website, always make sure that, as I mentioned, everything is categorized throughout the different sectors. You've got a main kind of landing page, your branding, your name, everything that's all visible, contact details, your products, and the outline within subcategories. So they've got the academy sector, the supply sector, then the service sector afterwards as well. It's always relevant and good for you to actually have a blog. So we're actually just dabbling with personal branding relating to that particular website. As you can see, the color choices is also highly significant, and the next aspect is creating a blog where you're creating trust and building a bond with the client. So that is it for this sector. Within the next sector, I'll stop it at that sector so you can be able to go through this your exercise if you're doing this on our online course. So this is part of our online course within understanding e-commerce. Obviously, there's so much more that you can be able to learn within the e-commerce sector, and this is just the initial part of what we do provide in one of our courses, and we hope that you can be able to join one of our classes within the future. And thank you so much for actually listening throughout this whole process. And I'll see you in our next class. Thank you.